This is session number 8 of the Sales Mastermind podcast. Today in the hot seat, we have Jesse Walia. Hit the music. Hello and welcome to the Sales Mastermind podcast. Get ready to harness the power of the Mastermind community and take your sales to the next level. I'm your host, Jonathan Stewart. Today's question comes from Jessie Walia on Instagram. She asked, what is the best and cheapest way of marketing for a firm still struggling to establish itself? This is a great question. Most companies that are just getting started, of course, don't have a lot of money in their marketing budgets. And so I believe most entrepreneurs, most small businesses are looking for the most effective, but also the most cost-effective ways to market their business. Now, the good news is it has never been easier or cheaper to advertise and reach an audience on a massive scale like there is today. A good example of this would be YouTube. So there's people on YouTube, we would call YouTube stars now, that are reaching as many people as would be at a major show on national television. They have just as many people that are in their audience. And you know what? It doesn't cost them a whole network to have that kind of audience. And so YouTube, social media, things like that have allowed you to reach an audience like never before. The bad news, though, is like anything, when the barrier of entry is very low, it becomes a very busy place. And so because of this, the sales market is a very loud place, so you got to make sure that you're extraordinary to stand out and be effective. So I want to give you 10 effective ways that are very inexpensive to build up your business and market your business. Now, the ultimate goal of this, these 10 steps, is to build a loyal following. And so a loyal, true fan base will be the most valuable resource that you can have. So I want to get into the first tip here. The first tip to market your business that's an inexpensive way and a very effective way is to make sure that you're asking for referrals. I know we've talked about this in previous episodes of the Sales Mastermind podcast before, and the reason I'm bringing it up again is because it is so effective. Even if you do have kind of a small customer base and you don't have a lot of people that are buying your product yet, you know, this can still bring in huge amounts of business. Let's say that the average person knows pretty closely 15 to 20 people. And let's say that that person had a really good experience with your product or with your brand, and they tell those 15 people with a glowing review that they should go use your product or your service. Well, think about this for a minute. If those 15 or 20 people also know 15 or 20 people, and they continue on with that referral process as you treat them well, eventually the power of exponential growth will take over, and you will have reached more people than you could even imagine. So referrals. Now, I always mention this when I talk about referrals. Most people are not asking for them because it's an uncomfortable thing to do, but it's a very effective and free thing to do, so you need to do it. It's one of the most effective ways to get your name out there, to build your business, to build a firm, and with a $0 budget. So referrals. The second effective way to build up your business and to get your name out there and build a firm or build a business would be with sponsorships. So there's kind of a double benefit to this. One, the benefit is that you're actually helping either a local charity, or you're helping a community event, or sponsoring a college student for something. You know, you're doing good in the community, which obviously what goes around comes around, so that's kind of just a side benefit to this. But also, it's a very inexpensive way to really bring good brand awareness to your local community. And sponsoring something that you feel very proudly about or you feel very strongly about, it'll be good in several ways, and it'll really build your name out in the community, and usually not very expensive. So referrals, sponsorships. The third effective way would be to run a contest or a giveaway to bring people into your business. So I see this happen a lot on social media, but people will say, you know, like the Facebook page and go ahead and share this on your profile, and you'll be entered in to win such and such. And so you can use a contest or a giveaway for people to make specific actions, take specific actions to actually help market your own product. Now, the cool thing about this is if it's a cool enough product, you want to make sure it's actually a good product, something that people will be willing to take a few minutes to win. And what will happen is you actually only have to give away one prize. So it can be a pretty good prize, but you only have to buy one of those prizes. And you'll get very many people marketing for you. And so it's a really cool process, contest and giveaways. The fourth effective way to promote your business and to market your business without costing a lot of money is collaboration and cross-promotion. This is one of the ones I'm most excited about, and I think it'll be one of the most effective ways to get something done for your marketing that you can't do by yourself or you don't have the budget for. And so what this is simply finding another business that is in a complementary category and collaborating with these people in some kind of cross-promotion. So this would be a good example. Let's say that you're a wedding photographer and you're trying to get brides to book you to take pictures of their wedding. Well, where do all brides go generally? They would go to a bridal store to buy a wedding dress. So what if a wedding photographer could collaborate and cross-promote with a bridal store? So that way, anytime that somebody goes into the bridal store and they're looking for a photographer, the bridal store will refer them to the photographer that they know and they've connected with. And vice versa, anytime that somebody's looking for that wedding photographer and they connect with the wedding photographer and they're also looking at where they should buy a dress, the wedding photographer can refer them over to the bridal store. And so neither of those marketing efforts cost either of them anything at all, but they were able to target specific audiences with collaboration and cross-promotion. Super effective way. A fifth way, and it's kind of related to collaboration, but this is bartering. Bartering is a really cool way to get a service or product that you need that you can't afford without having to pay for it. So let's say that you can't afford something and it's something that's crucial to your business. So for instance, an accountant. Let's say an accountant who has a really bad website. They really need some web design work done to market their services, but they can't afford a web designer to design their website for them. Well, what they could do is they could barter with a web designer who needs their financial accounting services, and the accountant could say, hey, I'll do your accounting if you design my website. And both of these people in this example of bartering would get what they need to be successful, but it would not cost either of them anything. So think about bartering next time you need a service or marketing that would cost you a decent amount of money. So bartering, the fifth effective way. The sixth effective way that I recommend is to provide samples or trials of your product. So if it's a physical product, of course, samples would work for that. And it allows people to experience your product, and it doesn't cost you a lot of money to get that out there. Trials are cool if you actually have like a service-based product. So I see this with gyms a lot. Gyms will offer maybe a free 7 days access to the gym for first-time buyers. And so that's one example. Just get people in, let them try your product for free, and that'll bring in a wide variety of people. And even if only maybe 10% of those actually become paying customers, that's 10% more than you had before. And so that'll be very effective. Samples and trials, that really removes the risk of people trying your service or your product, and they'll get more people in the door. The seventh effective way to market or build your firm would be to offer entry-level services. So for instance, here's a good example of what I'm talking about here. We're talking about providing a cheaper version of your service that gets people in the door. One of the best examples I can think of is I always hear ads for AC and heating companies that offer what they call a seasonal tune-up for a super low price. Now, what this allows them to do is they get into customers' homes. Maybe they offer a tune-up of the heating and air system for $59. And what happens is they're able to get into these people's homes. They're able to earn their trust, and potentially they'll get in there and find other repairs that are needed. And so that's a really cool way to get in there with an entry-level service, and that is a good way to market. And once again, that doesn't cost you anything. It's just a benefit for you. An eighth effective way to market your business is social media. So social media can be a time sucker if you don't do it correctly, but at the same time, it can be a super effective way to get people to know about your business without having to pay a lot for it. So I'm just going to go over a few of the platforms that I would recommend, and this is how I'd use them. So the first one that I would recommend to a business especially is to go ahead and create a Facebook page for your business, for your cause, for your firm, whatever you're talking about here that you're trying to set up a Facebook page. And so you'll want to set this page up. You'll want to advertise events. You'll want to advertise things that are going on, services that you're offering, products that you have. And you want to do giveaways and things like that to get people to like this page, because on Facebook, when people like a page, then they will see more of the content on their newsfeed when you post information on that Facebook page. And so it's kind of like having an extension to your email list. And so create a Facebook page. The second thing, and this also is related to Facebook, is to go ahead and have a Facebook page, but also create a Facebook group. So you'd want to build a Facebook group around a topic that people who are your target customers would be passionate about. So let's say that you're a wedding photographer. Then you might want to go ahead and start a Facebook group that talks about how important photos are, and maybe you share photos and you're talking about different wedding things and wedding planning, and you could think about different things within that you would do within that particular category. So you build a group, and then the people that would be in that group would be your target customers. It would naturally attract your target customers, and they would be in a Facebook group that you have direct access to as the administrator, as the creator of the group. So a Facebook group. And then the third social media tip, also Facebook, you'll notice that Facebook is a very powerful tool for businesses, is to use Facebook advertising. So this is one of the few that I've talked about here that actually costs a little bit of money, but Facebook advertising gives you a lot of bang for your buck. So you've already set up a Facebook page. You can go into your Facebook page and you can put up a post, and then you can do what you call boosting that post, which allows you to reach a very large audience depending on your budget. So for instance, what I love about it is that you can reach a very targeted audience. So let's say that let's go back to the wedding photographer business again. And let's say that you are targeting people getting married. So you'll figure out, okay, what's the average age that people are getting married? And so you could target that particular age group. And let's say that you're targeting females because the brides are usually the ones that pick the photographer. So you would want to target females to this certain particular age group. Now let's take it a step further. Let's say that you are only doing wedding photography in California. Then you would go ahead and say, I only want this ad to be shown to people who are in California who are between this age and who are females. And you can continue to add different filters into that. But you would be able to reach very inexpensively a very targeted audience with Facebook. And you can actually start out with as low as $5 to run a Facebook ad. And $5 will generally reach like 400 people or so, depending on how much you tune this down. But, very effective way to get your name out there, Facebook advertising. The fourth social media tip that I have for you guys is to be active on Instagram. So the most effective way to use Instagram is to go ahead and do quotes and inspirational sayings on different cool picture backgrounds and use that to build brand trust. And, you can also throw in different promotions and stuff in there as well in between the different content that you're offering. But Instagram works really, really well for quotes and inspirational quote blocks. So use Instagram that way. Twitter is a really cool platform that you can advertise on, of course, and you can communicate with your followers in a way that you could never before. And so that's important, starting that conversation, continuing the conversation, and also finding out, what people are talking about in your niche. What people are talking about maybe about your brand, because you can search hashtags, you can search topics in the Twitter search function, and you can kind of get an idea of what people are talking about and what questions people have. But also, I love this about Twitter. Twitter is a great place to connect to influencers. Of course, Twitter is a little bit more mature than some of the other social media platforms out there, and it's been a favorite of professionals for a while. And somebody said this, and I love this quote. I heard this quote on a podcast, and they said this: Facebook is where you talk to the people you knew in high school, and Twitter is where you talk to the people you wish you knew in high school. And so I thought that was a good quote and just a good example of Twitter. Twitter allows you, for instance, to reach out and talk to somebody who would otherwise be untouchable in a sense. So you might be able to reach out to that author of that book that you love and actually get in a conversation with them. And later on, you might be able to actually connect and collaborate with them and do something that would help your business. So you could build those relationships that will help your business on Twitter. So build relationships with influencers on Twitter and have conversations with your fans and potential customers. Another social media platform that's kind of new, but I definitely think you ought to check out, is Snapchat. So if you haven't been on Snapchat much, you need to check it out. But Snapchat allows you to communicate with them directly with a picture, with a short video, with text overlays, or you can actually create a series of videos and text overlay pictures that you put into what you call your story that gets shown for 24 hours. So Snapchat is kind of a cool new way to get people Snapchat-only deals and exclusive behind-the-scenes info. Just kind of a cool way, and especially if your demographic kind of leans towards the younger side, Snapchat is where you need to be. And once again, not very difficult, pretty easy to learn, and will be very effective. Another social media tool that I would look into would be Periscope. So if you're uncomfortable behind a video camera, I understand. It's not the most easy thing to do, to be on a camera and to be on a screen, and most people are not very comfortable with it. But this is something that you actually need to get out of your comfort zone a little bit, try it, and see if it works for you. But Periscope is a way to simply live stream video directly to your followers. And what's cool is it connects to Twitter. You can connect it such that if you have a good Twitter following, it automatically posts that live video directly on your Twitter feed. So you are getting people from Twitter and also your Periscope followers, and you can maybe give them a behind-the-scene look at your creative process, or a behind-the-scene look at an event, or something like that. It's a really cool tool to just build that excitement and give people a better way to know you and have more trust. And so Periscope. And then the last social media tool that I have for you would be YouTube. And so YouTube has been tried and true. It's a very effective way to provide maybe freemium educational content and tutorials to just kind of build up the fact that you are an expert and that you really know what you're talking about. And depending on your particular business niche, some of these may be more effective than others. So I'm not in any way saying that you should be on every social media platform starting out. What I am talking about here, and I want to just go open your eyes to what's available. And so pick a couple of these and just go all in and spend time on them. And go ahead and make sure that you are doing your best work there, and you'll be attracting people that can really help your business get along and really bring you to the next level as a company. So the 9th effective way that I have for you is to write a book. Now, this can seem really daunting and maybe kind of ridiculous to you. You're thinking, I'm not a writer. I can't write a book. There's no way I could sit down and write a book. But if you ask those who wrote a book, you'll find out that it was probably one of the best things they've ever done in trying to build up a firm, trying to build up a consulting agency, trying to build up a business. Because when you write a book and it's done decently well, you become an automatic authority in that niche. When people see a printed book with your name on it, it gives you an authority that you wouldn't have before. I've heard it many times called a $20 business card, and in a sense, that's what it is. Now, here's a couple tips for writing a book. Number 1, hire a professional editor. You don't have to be an expert at grammar, an expert writer anymore to write a book. You can just simply write out what you want to do and give a rough draft of it, work on it, have friends read it, critique it, and then take it to a professional editor who will edit it, make it flow, and will put it into a book format and save you the time. So hire a professional editor. The second tip would be, if you cannot get an actual book deal with a publishing company, there's a lot of services out there now, print on demand through Amazon, that allow you to have self-published books that are in printed form inexpensively, and it allow you not to have to run like a huge amount of books printed to get the price down. You can actually do print on demand. So you upload the book, and as customers order it, they print it and they ship it for you. So that's one way you could do that and have a book. The 10th and final way that I believe is very effective and inexpensive to market your business, to market your firm struggling to establish itself, would be to do speaking engagements. If you do free speaking engagements, you can become an influencer quickly. You'll get in front of people that you would have never had access to before, and you'll be in a position of authority, and you'll be able to connect with them in the way that you never would have before. And the only thing it costs you is your time and whatever travel dollars you have to spend to get there. So do speaking engagements. These 10, I think, are some of the most effective examples of cost-effective ways to market your business. And I hope that you can take some of these, Jesse, and use them in your business. And I hope you that are also listening to this podcast got some really good ideas from listening about these tips. Now, I do want to say, if you have ideas that you'd like to share, please comment in the blog post that'll be in the show notes right below. And then also, this is the official podcast of the Sales Mastermind community on Facebook. And I would love to have you join that group if you're not already. It's a closed group, so if you just go to salespurpose.com/community, that'll forward you right over to the Facebook group, and you can request to join. I'll go ahead and approve that request as soon as I see it. And then you can go ahead and add your tips that you would recommend for marketing on a budget for Jesse. And so I would love to have you continue that conversation there in the Facebook community. I also, secondly, wanted to mention that I'm offering a book that I wrote called The 7 Secrets of Sales Success for free download right now. If you just go to salespurpose.com/free-ebook, you can download that book for free. And I would recommend that to you, the 7 Secrets of Sales Success. It just outlines 7 of the most effective ways to sell a product. So that could be very effective for you guys. And the last thing I want to mention before we let you go is if you want your question featured here on the Sales Mastermind podcast, you can do it by simply just going to salespurpose.com/SM podcast, and you'll see there that there are a few different ways that you can submit your question to the podcast, whether in text form or whether in actually audio form, and we can feature and answer your question here on the podcast and then also in the Sales Mastermind community. I'm so thankful that you guys listened to this podcast. I hope that this was very effective and helpful for you, and I hope to see you in the next podcast. You guys have a good one. Thank you for listening to the Sales Mastermind podcast. Be sure to check out the show notes below for any resources or sites mentioned in the podcast. Also, be sure to subscribe and join the Facebook community to continue the conversation. Here's to your success.